I know guys in our position, we have a lot of psychological issues and our insecurities are many. We're short. We have a skin color configuration that's not in integration with society's expectations. We have family members and people around us that really don't like us for whatever reason that they may have, and it makes life extremely difficult and extremely brutal, especially if you're the type of person that just sticks to yourself and doesn't bother anybody. I was having, conversations with people and they were just telling me how it feels incredibly difficult to keep going on every day when you don't have that fire, when you don't have that fuel, when it really feels like the world is draining you every day. You wake up, it's the 9 to 5, pay bills, and it's like rinse and repeat. Then you go on Instagram and it seems like everybody, and I mean everybody's living their life. They're traveling the world. They're going to Spain. They're going to Germany. They're going to the UK. They're going to all these different places and they're seeing all these different faces and they're tasting these exotic foods, you know, and they're able to see the world. And people like us, we just like life just has us stuck in a position. It has us chained down, like some type of some type of prison, where you try to like let's say like you're in a prison ship and like you peep through the little peephole in the prison ship below the depths, like it's like it's a small little it's a little peephole. You can look at the land and you see people having fun, they're partying and you see guys meeting girls and you know and meanwhile you're trapped in a prison ship chained up, and the only thing you can do is rattle your chains a bit. That's what it feels like when you're somebody in this position. um the constant the constant battle we have to go through mentally is severe. It's there's always a new obstacle. And have you noticed this? Like every time there's something new that happens in your life, right? Um, there's always something to replace it. So if you had, let's say like this, for instance, let's say like you had a job that you had a boss that was just always on your case about the smallest minute details, and you had coworkers gossiping or whatever, and then you get a promotion or whatever, and then they move you to another location. If you're lucky, you get a promotion, right? A 17 cents promotion. Wow. I think it's like on I think it was it SpongeBob. I think did Mr. Krabs give like SpongeBob like a 1 cent raise or something like that, or am I remembering it wrong? Whatever. It's been years since I've seen SpongeBob, like for real. But I think it was an episode like that. But and I think Squidward wasn't having it. But let's say you get a promotion, you go to a new job. Now, at this job site, you may not have a boss that's on your butt, but the guidelines are much more stricter. There's a uniform code that can be enforced at any time, and if you don't properly wear the uniform, you face instantaneous termination, meaning you'll be fired on the spot. No 2 week notice, they'll just fire you and you have to find another corporation to work for, right? And let's say you go to that new job, in your old job you had a bunch of coworkers, but now you have like you're working with like two or three coworkers and both of them don't really like you like that, and they make your job extremely difficult by withholding information from you. So now you're dealing with a whole new set of problems. That's one thing about this life is what it will do to you. It will make sure that you'll go through things in life that will make you go crazy. It will make sure that there's problems. This life will guarantee that you go through problems. You will never be problem free in this life, you know, unless you're a multimillionaire. And even then, there's little problems. But a rich man's problems is not a poor man's problems. I'd rather have a rich man's problems than a poor man's problems, because a poor man's problems is just it's just constant misery. With a rich man, your problems may be like maybe you forgot to take your dog to the groomer that day or something, like stuff like that, like it's minuscule to somebody like us, but to a millionaire, that can be, they used to having life a certain way. When you make millions of dollars, you have millions of expectations, right? And so you just forgot to take your dog to the groomer that day, and then the demiurge loose off you like that, but he doesn't loose off you aggressively. But people like me who have potential, we're the ones that seem to be targeted by this evil demiurge and this evil satanic matrix. And it's brutal, man. It's like, how can we ever feel like men, true men, when we have to bow down to a corporation? How can we really feel like true men when We have to always be on our guard. We have to always watch our back. We have to always just look around and make sure that we're not under attack. But it seems like something has a target on our back. Something wants us to be defeated. Something wants us to be laid low, and it's nerve wracking. It's nerve wracking to always go through negative situations in life. It's nerve wracking to always, you know, to always have some type of negative event take place that's designed to break your spirit and break your confidence. I'm not used to, having a good life. I'm not used to getting things that I truly want, like that's something that I'm just not used to. But I know there's people out there in the world that are used to that. There's people out there in the world, that get to have an amazing life. Meanwhile, people like us, we have to deal with, just negative circumstances, constantly being harassed, trying to rent rooms from people, and you finally get like a little room and you get it, and then it's like the person just raised the price up on you, and you're like, damn, I can't afford that. Like, come on now, like that's a lot of bread, and this is just somebody's like dirty back room or whatever, and you're trying to fit in there, and then you know and then they raise the price up, and you go to another place, and then that place seems cool at first, and then you notice that the people around, maybe it's not the best for you to stick around because like they're engaging in certain activities and you don't want the police to kick in the door and then take you somewhere that and you had nothing to do with that. You're just renting a room from a person, and this person is engaging in illegal activities. And then you finally get to one spot and it's like, well shit. Now you can't even, the bathroom is broken, the shower doesn't work, but it's a room with a bed, and you don't even have a bed really. Like it's just a room, so you got to sleep on the floor, right? So it's just a place to lay your head, and then they want to charge extra for that. So then you just say F it and go to the park. Like there's always something. Then when you go to the park, there's the police after you. So it's like you're continuously on the move to pain. It's like I remember somebody a long time ago. They said pain is progression, and I would say this. I would say, indeed, I understand what you mean by that, by pain being progression, because the more pain you go through, I believe the more clarity you get. When somebody keeps betraying you and talking about you, then you start to notice the little preliminary signs of a traitor. So when you go through enough pain in life, you start to isolate yourself. You start to understand what people really are. So you do gain wisdom in isolation and devastation and decimation and degradation, but it comes at a price. You get to lose all those potential memories you could have had going to the movies with girls and developing quote unquote real friendships. But a lot of those friendships and a lot of those relationships, they're just an accident waiting to happen if you're not Chad or Tyrone. Guys like us, we're a particular type of individual. A lot of us, we love our anime, we love our video games, you know, and we just want to create something that can sustain ourselves financially so we can be independent, truly independent, without bowing down to random people, to random strangers who you have to go to a job and bow down to them. You got to try to rent a random room from a person you don't even know. Do you know how scary that is in a way? To try to rent rooms from random people who you don't even know. You know what kind of spirits these people are involved. You know if they do black magic. You don't know if they're, like you don't know what these people are involved in. And especially if they're not the same skin color configuration, something can happen. Somebody can get, a very bad, tragic situation can take place, and then you'll be the one blamed because you're the newcomer. So it's like, damn, but you don't got no place to go, and you're just alone. I don't think people understand how when you're somebody like us, it seems like the universe has it out for you. It really does, because I watch other people. I've seen other people, especially in this community. And they tell me about their lives, and their lives are pretty bad, but it's not as bad as mine. I have to have one of the worst lives out of any of the black pill creators, and it's horrible. It's something I wouldn't wish on nobody, to have talent but not be able to express your talent, to have potential but not be able to capitalize and maximize on your potential because the world is pretty much rigged against you, and people don't see it. People think that we're just talking out of our arses when we say it feels like there's beings that are attaching themselves to us, and they're doing it because there's something about our spirit, there's something about our soul that's not like everybody else. So these negative energetic manifestational beings, they see that, and they want to harvest our loosh. you know I want you to look. The weekend's coming up, right? So I want you to look what's going to happen within the next couple of days on this weekend. And you tell me whether your weekend is good or not. And you tell me whether there was people involved. Because the weekend's going to be better when you don't have a 9 to 5 to go to and you don't have negative, hostile people around you. And when there's no people around you, period. And it's just you, maybe your Xbox, maybe you hop on your computer, maybe you watch some anime. And those 2 days are going to be amazing, right? But when you have work on Monday, those 2 days are going to fly by. Like it's going to be 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, Friday night, you get off work, you go home, you may get some Mary Jane to the brain, get some food, maybe go to the grocery store if you want to get some groceries, then boom, you're back home. And then before you know it, boom, it's Saturday morning. You start to sleep in, boom, it's already 4 p.m. You're like, damn, the day's already gone. And then you only got one more day before you got to go back Monday. This is why I used to mention Nick Mara and Taz Taylor a lot. It's because you have people who found a way to make music work for them and make a multi-million-dollar business from scratch with no help. That was my dream, at one time, to make something from scratch, whether it's music, whether it's novels, whether it's coding, whether it's programming, whatever it is to build something from scratch without being involved with the mainstream, because the mainstream, they're going to try to censor you, right? Because there's a certain narrative that they like to push and present beyond to the people and the masses. So I would very much so love to build me something from scratch, and that can work as my job, my main source of income. Because I'm seeing it now, man. Like, there's people that have been emailing me saying, they've been watching my videos and they just got fired from their job. And they've been trying to search for a job for like 2-3 months, right? Like they got fired a few months ago and they still can't find it. And then when they finally try to find a job, it's like there's problems associated with it, you know? And it's like, yeah, I told you, man, it's a loose farming realm. It's not just me, bro. When I speak on the loose farming, this is not something that I just made up. This was something people thousands of years ago were talking about. They had a question. If this is a loving, caring God, then why is this world so evil and wicked? You know, why are people like Genghis Khan able to rise up and conquer the world? And they do it ruthlessly and mercilessly, and they cause devastating effects. The Mongols went as far as Europe, and they were conquering European princes and European principalities and European nations, and they would take European women and present them before the Mongol commanders, because like a lot of them probably, well, not probably, a lot of them never really seen European women like that, and so they were highly valued. And even the ancient Vikings used to do that, you know. So even back in those days, blue eyes and a certain skin color configuration was pretty much what people deemed as very attractive and something people want to get close to. But anyway, so these ancients were asking, why is this world so evil? And then, people started putting pieces together, right? They started finding ancient stories, even more ancient than them. And they're finding all this secret knowledge or whatever that was hidden from them. And they started putting two together and saying, okay, the only reasonable explanation is that the God of this world has his favorites and certain people he doesn't like. Not only that, but he's not really the real God. This is definitely a being that gets some type of power from our negative energetic manifestation or frequency, meaning that it's always going to put us in events where we're at a disadvantage. You have to work 2 jobs, bro. You have to work 2 different jobs just to pay rent. 3 jobs, maybe, some people. If you try to get an apartment or something, they want you to pay 3 months or 3 times the 3 times the amount of rent. I'm like, what the fuck, bro? It's like, why can't I just find an apartment, a single bedroom for like $150 a month? I know that's impossible. I know I'm talking about this 1970, but if they would have kept it like that, people like me could have survived. I'll be able to have like I can afford something like that, right? $150 a month. You know, you have all utilities, you have everything's paid for, utilities, all that stuff, the water, the electric, you know, and, I don't know why they don't have systems to really help people in poverty. And you can say, oh, well, they do, but it's like the government, Like even the government, bro. Like because I don't know if you guys ever went through the EBT or anything like that, But I'm broke for real. Like I'm really at the bottom of the bottom. Like I don't got money like that, man. That's why I put everything into my creative endeavors, and hopefully something takes off for me, and I'm able to get what I want out of this life. But when you apply for the EBT and all that, you got to provide so much information and do this, that. You got to talk to the caseworker. Sometimes it depends on the caseworker you get. Sometimes you can have a caseworker who's like a stickler, a caseworker who, is an ass. And then other times you have a cool caseworker, and they're able to kind of like, do a little things here and there, right? But for the most part, you're going to have like an ad because they work for the state, right? So they make it extremely difficult for you to get any type of benefits. It's not easy to try to get, as they call it, neat bucks. This is what they call it. They call it neat bucks. It's not easy to get that. So if you're somebody that's on neat bucks, you better consider yourself extremely lucky, extremely lucky. If you're somebody that has EBT right now, you're somebody that's extremely lucky, right? Because now, you have a little help. Now, it's not much, but you have something. But somebody like me who really needs the help, who really needs something, it seems like the universe makes sure that I don't ever meet the right people to really help me in the career path that I really want. And what I noticed when I look back in my life, even me not graduating high school, when I look back on my life, you know, I'm looking like, how the hell did I go through high school? I went through every class and I played football, all that, you know, and I didn't graduate because of a California high school exit examination, which they got rid of like a couple of years after I was supposed to really graduate. And I had to go to like a charter school to get my diploma. It was filled with a bunch of people that were, that these people were going through jail while we were in high school and middle school. These people had records and all that, and it was fights every day, you know, and but at the time, that place did give you a job, though. So, but it was like you're working with a bunch of people that are, criminals and and stuff like that. And it's like, it's not something. It's not something that I was new to. I'm used to. My whole life I've been around criminals and gangsters and things like that. It's nothing to me. But what I'm saying is that when you're trying to not be involved with that, because that leads to a couple of ways: either neutralization or it leads to imprisonment. And I want to get legal money. I want to be able to do something that the law can't really get mad about. But what I notice is even on YouTube, bro, like whenever I try to catch like a streak or something, YouTube automatically, okay, I'm just going to slow down his views and it's not going to show. And it's like, where did this happen all of a sudden? It's like when you get too many views, it's like YouTube decides who gets what. Like out of all the black pillars, I probably get the lowest views out of the ones but yet I have some of the highest engagement, when it comes to average view duration, when it comes to, I guess the monetization, I guess, but it's like that doesn't really do anything. Like I need life changing money. I wish I had $35 million in ad revenue like Moist Critical. You know what I'll do with almost 40 million freaking dollars? First of all, I'll go on my Cash App, and everybody that's ever sent me something is getting something back, double or even triple. I'm serious. Anybody who's ever PayPal me, anybody who's ever gave me money, anybody who's ever helped me, people that on here that I know, that I talk to, some of my subscribers that we done talked to on the phone before, we done, talked on the email, we done played League of Legends together, we played some Call of Duty matches, we played Fortnite. Anybody that I can help, I'll help you. I promise you that. If I ever get $40 million, I'm not going to let you guys watch my videos, and you guys are some of the only people that know what I'm going through. And I'm just going to sit back with millions of dollars while you guys continue to suffer. No, nah. We got to talk privately, exchange numbers, exchange financial information. I'll Cash App you. I'll send you some money to help you out, bro. For real. If I ever make it, if I ever make it in, anything that I want to make it in, I ever get wealthy, I'm helping out everybody who helped me when I didn't have a penny to my name. Anybody who's ever gave me, Cash at me $100 here, Cash at me, anybody who ever showed me love, I'm gonna get them back. You know what I mean? I'm gonna make sure that I triple double. I'm gonna make sure, hey, I may even give them 10,000. I got almost $40 million. I probably give you more than that. For real. Like I'm a generous type of person, bro, when I have it. But when I don't have it, I can't give what I don't have, But yeah, man, I truly want all of us in this position to be free. I truly want all of us to have our dreams met. I truly want all of us to have our needs met because we deserve that. You deserve happiness. I deserve some happiness. We all deserve it. We don't deserve to be in a position where we're struggling and we're fighting and we don't know what to do. We don't know where to go. Life feels like we feel stuck in life. You know, you work at this job, you go to this school, you go here, you go there, and it's like you can't get ahead. And I don't know why people don't understand that. Like, life really worth living if you can't really get ahead? If you're always trapped in this prison, if you're always trapped with all this negativity, you know? Is it really worth it when you don't have anything? Is it really worth it when you're in your mid 30s and you're old? Don't let nobody tell you that, oh, being in your mid 30s or your 30s is not old. They're just trying to lie and cope. I'm gonna tell you from somebody that was born in the early 90s. When you're in your 30s, you are old. And it is what it is. And you're not gonna be able to have that beautiful 21-year-old or 22-year-old girl unless you're rich. No girl, like, think about it, because there's guys that are younger than you, taller than you, more money than you. So why would that girl waste her time with an old grandpa? I'm an old man. I'm an old grandpa. Like, do you know how old, like, your 30s are? It's very, very old, right? And some people may say, "Oh, that's not old," because some people may be in their 40s or whatever, and they're like, "It's not." But it's like, it's perception, because if somebody that's 70 years old, they look at somebody like 40, oh, you're just a baby still, even though you're 40. But somebody who's 80 or 90 or 100, they wish they were 40. They wish they were in their 30s, because that's relatively young to them. Because you still have, even if you're 40, you still got another 40, 50 years left. So you still got a long time here. Even if you're in your 40s, you have a long time to live. It's not over yet. And this life is going to get worse. And even if you're in your 30s, you have a long time yet, a long time alive. And I know a lot of you guys are in your 20s. You better enjoy your 20s. I'm telling you, because let me tell you something. Once you hit 30, it starts to fly by. Next thing you know, I will tell you this, though. When you get 29, it gets scary. I won't lie. When you turn 29 years old, you start to just, oh my God, I'm going to be 30. I'm going to be 30. Oh my God, I'm so old. I'm so old. I'm so old. I'm not successful. I don't have a wife. I don't have a girl. I don't have a car. I don't have a job. I don't even have a driver's license. I hear voices in my head. I see shadow demons from the corner of my eye. This shit is scary. This shit is crazy, right? All these things start to eat at you inside, right? And then boom, you hit 30. Then you feel the fear goes away and you feel this calmness, like, wow, I'm 30. Then boom, the year flies by. You're 31, boom, then 32, boom, 33, 34, 35, 30. Then it just flies. And you're like, damn. Even the 20s didn't fly by like that. Like, I remember my 20s being a lot more slower than my 30s, you know? And I think that means something, man. I don't know. I think these beings, something's manipulating time. Because when I grew up in the 90s, I'm telling you, man, I grew up in the 90s in the early aughts. Aughts means the early 2000s, the aughts, the early aughts. So I grew up in the early aughts, the early 2000 aughts, and life was different. Life was a lot slower. I still remember when Xbox first came out. I remember when PlayStation 2 was a brand new system. And when PlayStation 2 first came out, it didn't have those oh no, I take that back. When PlayStation 1 came out, it didn't have the joysticks, and then later on, the PlayStation 1 had those dual analog joysticks on those gray controllers. That's how you know it's the old school PS1s, when they started adding those those dual analog sticks. And then when PS2 came out, that was just mandatory. There was no more of those controllers without the sticks. I remember when 64 came out. I remember when Dreamcast came out. I remember when Sega Genesis, Super Saturn, Super Nintendo. I remember these. I was a kid there, but I remember, my cousins and stuff playing them. I remember, when Xbox first came out. I remember when Halo first came out. Halo turned me into an Xbox fanboy. And I remember the console wars, arguing with people. Xbox was the best. I remember people like, no, it's PlayStation. No, it's Xbox. No, it's Nintendo's GameCube. And all. I remember people used to argue with. I remember when GameCube was new. Who remembers playing Luigi's Mansion? Who remembers playing Pikmin? Right? Those are classic games, bro. I think I want to give me a GameCube just so I can play those games again. I miss Luigi's Mansion. I love that game, and I love playing Pikmin. Pikmin 1, Pikmin 2, Pikmin 3. Those games were fun. You know, that was back then when they were making games for fun. It was like, in time. Like, I remember spending all day long playing, like, James Bond, GoldenEye, right? Playing different games, Jet Force Gemini, Star Fox Adventures, one of my favorite games on GameCube. I love that game. That's such an underrated gem, Star Fox Adventures. Um, And I remember playing these games all day. I remember playing Grand Theft Auto 3, Grand Theft Auto Vice City, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. God, I remember when San Andreas was, I remember looking at Grand Theft Auto San Andreas in the Game Informer magazine. I remember cutting out little things and putting it on the wall and just like, oh, I can't wait till Grand Theft Auto San Andreas comes out. You know, I remember playing that game all day. And I remember on school nights, I would play Grand Theft Auto San Andreas till about like 4 o'clock in the morning, you know, just playing that game. And I remember it was slow, like time went slow, you know? But now, if I get and I start playing video games now, I'll start like around 10 p.m. And next thing I know, it's 2:30 in the morning. I'm like, damn, time just flew. And it's just, it's weird, man. It's crazy, but that's just the world we live in, man. I really believe this is a soul trap prison designed to break us and designed to destroy us in this evil, sadistic, twisted void that we find ourselves in. You know, I really, I think somebody left a comment on my other channel. I think it was something like, I wish I was a millionaire. I'm like, brother, you're right. I wish I was a millionaire too, because if I had $1 million, my life would be so much easier. My life would be so much more better. I'll be so much more happier. You know, I don't care what anybody says. I don't care. I need a girl. You know what I mean? I need me a woman, you know, point blank, period. A pretty woman at that. I need it. I need a woman to hug me, to kiss me, to make love with me, to cook me food. You know what I mean? To, you know, we take our dogs on a walk. We take our, I got a Rottweiler and a German Shepherd and a Saint Bernard and a Wolf dog. You know, we take our dogs on a walk. You know, we got, you know, um, just I don't know, going to the beach, going to the movies. You know, and then I won't front, bro. When I was younger, I really wanted kids. So going to Disneyland and seeing your kids happy and buying your kids toys and seeing the joy on their face on Christmas Day and making love with your beautiful wife and, you know, taking her out to like, you know, like, I don't know, Paris for her birthday, you know, and have like her mother watch the kids while we go on a 2-week vacation in Paris and check on the kids. Hey, daddy. Hey, mommy. How you guys doing? We're doing fine, baby. We'll be back in another week or so. Okay. You know, you guys be good now. Behave. Okay, we will. And your kids are playing Fortnite. Like, bro, I'll never, ever be a father. I'll never, ever have that life. I'll never be somebody's husband. I'll never be a multi-millionaire. I'll never be somebody that women look at and really want to love and that they're attracted to. And that hurts inside. It hurts inside to know that your soul has passed away before you even passed away, right? Because you are your soul, right? But it feels like your soul feels defeated inside. And once you feel defeated inside, you feel defeated in your mind, you feel defeated in time, and it gets worse. You know, like this life is not a good thing. I don't know, well, I mean, according to my Gnostic, interpretation, the demiurge made this realm, but I don't know who allows this realm to continue to exist. All this pain, all this agony, and this has been going on for centuries, So recently, I've been studying, English history because I'm like, well, I speak English, even though English is not my native tongue, my actual native tongue. Because do I want to get deep into that? I'll just say this: English is something that was put upon me by from my people being in servitude. So I want to know about English culture. I want to know about European culture. I study European history now. You know what I mean? Like I know European. I study European history, right? More than I study African history. I study European history, right? And you're going to see this reoccurring theme of conquer and conquest from the days of the Battle of Agincourt, the 100 Years' War, the War of the Roses, 30 Years' War, the 9 Years' War, from when the Vikings came. Because remember, the Vikings were conquerors. Like nowadays, people say, oh, the UK and England, there's all this, migration into this place and that. And the real truth is this: thousands of years ago, back in King Canute, in those days, England was being invaded by the Vikings. And the people then didn't want Vikings, even though they were the same skin color configuration. That didn't matter in those days. It was a different time. They looked at new people who didn't speak the same language. Even though they were the same skin color configuration, the Vikings still conquered, you know. And then Normandy was created and established, and all these countries, And one thing I noticed is that there's always been warfare. You know, you go to different type of cultures and you go to different types of peoples, and you see that in every culture there's a war. Every culture there's always a civil war. Whenever there's an empire that comes to get together, you know, there's a civil war. Now you notice the pattern. Ancient Rome had civil war. Ancient China had civil war. Ancient Japan had civil war, right? America had a civil war. Now, is that just is it a coincidence that these nations come together and they build an empire and then there's always a civil war, or is it something that's orchestrating things from behind the scenes?